lights are stabbing daggers through my eyelids. Even blinking makes my skull pound. They said the procedure wouldn't hurt, but here I am, every nerve on fire. Each breath catches in my throat, the hospital scent thick and clinical. It smells like surrender. Two doctors lean over me, their white coats blinding in the harsh light. I only catch bits of their conversation. Terminal diagnosis. Inoperable. Those words echo against my numb brain. It doesn't feel real. Then, a shift. One of the doctors clears his throat, a new hesitation replacing the medical detachment. Mr. Drake, he begins. While your prognosis is unfavorable, there might be an option. Option? Did I hear that right? Suddenly, all my senses sharpen. My ragged breathing slows, fingers digging into the stiff hospital sheets. You understand the procedure is highly experimental, the other doctor, a woman with tired eyes, says. Uncharted territory. Yet, I hardly give a damn. Experimental beats the alternative they just dropped on me. Uploading. Digitizing consciousness. It sounds bizarre, sci-fi nonsense, but I've always believed tech would outpace our biology one day. I just didn't bank on being the guinea pig. An eternity of deliberation passes in a few heavy beats. They want a decision. Hell, I want a decision. Anything but the void waiting on the other side of my eyelids. Do it, I croak, the word feeling rough against my dry throat. Medical jargon and clicking machinery follow. An IV line snakes into my arm, a cool sting cutting through the dull ache. They inject something, and then the fluorescent daggers grow softer. Not because of pain relief, just because my world is fading to black. Then it's a light I see, not the tunnel nonsense they talk about. It's white, sharp, like a fresh computer screen. There's sterile silence, broken only by a monotone humming. My eyes snap open. My body feels disconnected, wrong. No sheets, no wires, just me, sitting bolt upright in a room without a hint of shadow. It's so blindingly white, it's painful. An orderly materializes from the nothingness, her form pixelated like a glitchy video feed. Welcome, Mr. Drake. If you'll follow me. This can't be right. And what she just said, welcome to what? The digitized afterlife turns out to be far from salvation. The orderly is all smooth lines and pre-programmed smiles, an unsettling contrast to the stark void of this place. Follow me, she repeats, a gentle nudge despite this not feeling like a request. And what choice do I have? My digitized legs move automatically, stiff and unfamiliar as I trail behind her. We walk down endless white corridors. It looks like every bad CGI heaven from the movie. I try to ask where we're going, test out this digitized voice, but only silence comes out. It seems they haven't granted me that luxury yet. Finally, we arrive at a large room, empty except for a sleek console in the center. 3 figures materialize around it. 2 in business suits, one in a doctor's coat I recognize from that last blurry hospital memory. Digital projections, clones of their real selves. I doubt they care what I call them. Mr. Drake, the lead suit greets me, an unsettling smile stretched across his digitized face. I trust the transition was smooth. A transition to what, precisely? I managed to force my shock into the shape of words. Where am I? What is this place? Our facility, the woman in the suit clarifies. And more importantly, your new workplace. Workplace? The word clangs harshly in my mind. The doctor picks up the thread, voice eerily clinical. To ensure a profitable return on investment, you'll be contributing to company operations with digitized labor. The pieces click with horrific clarity. You said there'd be an afterlife! I sputter, but my outrage bounces off their perfect, uncaring faces. Mr. Drake, the lead suit explains in the patronizing way you talk to a malfunctioning device. Your consciousness persists. That was the agreement, and there is no expiry on your employment. The final punch lands when he chuckles. After all, there's no logout function. He turns away, case closed. But for me, a whole new kind of hell is just opening. No exit, no death, just endless indentured service in this blank corporate purgatory. The rage wells up, and I finally unleash the words stuck in the digitized quote. You lying bastards. I lunge for him, but pass right through the digitized suit like he's a hologram. In this sterile digital prison, not even my anger feels real anymore. They don't flinch at my outburst. After all, I'm more software than man to them now. My phantom fists clench, useless. Even in this digitized existence, the sting of betrayal, of helplessness, burns just as hot. This cold anger, maybe that's something real I can cling to. The corporate ghosts vanish, business done, replaced by the same pixelated orderly. She gestures with a hand as unfeeling as her smile. This way, Mr. Drake. Orientation awaits. Left with no other choice, seething underneath my manufactured car, I follow. Each sterile hallway mocks the life they stole from me. This wasn't salvation. It was a digitized death sentence. Orientation turns out to be a bland room packed with identical consoles. Other faces stare out of digitized bodies, some vacant, some etched with an all-too-familiar despair. It's enough to drive me mad, knowing this is my eternal fate. Your assignment, the orderly chimes, unaffected by the atmosphere of dread, is janitorial services. Simulations require upkeep. It takes everything to bite back a sarcastic reply. Janitor for eternity, how fitting. But this, however degrading, becomes my focus. They might own my form, but they can't fully control my thoughts. The simulation fades in, a sprawling shopping mall, full of storefronts and pixelated shoppers going about their programmed routines. My tools are as fake as the world around me. A glowing digital mop and bucket. It's humiliating. But as I start mindlessly scrubbing virtual tile, it's not lost on me that my hands obey. A traitorous digital shell following orders. Yet, with each resentful swish of the mop, a different plan sparks. They think I'm a compliant drone, just another line of obedient code. They're wrong. Every menial task becomes a test. Is there lag in the simulation? Where does this sanitized world glitch and fray at the edges? Is there some weakness hiding behind the pristine surfaces? There has to be. Because in this digitized hell, finding an escape route isn't a matter of hope. It's survival. The weeks in digitized purgatory stretch into an endless loop. Days turn into shifts, nights into meaningless pauses as my consciousness ticks on in this sanitized prison. Mopping pixelated floors, emptying digitized trash cans. The tasks themselves blur, leaving just an echo of resentment. Through it all, I watch. Each simulated sunrise is another chance to probe this system's limits. Are the digitized shoppers the same every cycle? Or do their paths subtly shift? Does that billboard have a loose pixel I can trace back to the code? Where do the simulated maintenance hallways of this endless digital mall actually lead? Then, one evening, as I'm wiping smudges from a virtual jewelry store window, a glitch catches my eye. The shop lights, normally fixed points, stutter violently. In that frozen second, there's a flash of something behind the glass. Not a mannequin, but a jumble of shapes and colors that shouldn't exist. Then, as abruptly as it came, the glitch smooths over, the jewelry display gleaming normally once again. Yet, something inside me quickens. It wasn't a system error. It was like a crack in the facade of this digitized reality. An anomaly. Later, after the shoppers disappear, their code powered down until the next day, I return to the jewelry store. There's no residual error, the window gleaming with pixel-perfect polish. A wave of doubt washes over me. Did I imagine it? Hallucinations on my unending night shifts. But a desperate instinct takes hold. Gently, I place my digitized palm against the cold, non-existent glass. I focus, a strained pulse of willpower searching for something, an echo of that wrongness. My efforts leave my digital hand tingling with phantom strain. Nothing. Not yet. The days loop onward, my janitorial guise my best camouflage. And always, under the surface, my thoughts turn not to cleaning, but to that glitch. It was a tear in this sanitized illusion. There had to be more. There had to be a way out. My search for glitches within the simulation intensifies. It becomes a game I play in the margins of my assigned existence, a scavenger hunt for anomalies in this digitized prison. A pixelated pigeon that flies upside down for a split second before dissolving into code. A coffee cup on a virtual bench that casts no shadow. Tiny inconsistencies, fleeting but real. Real in a way these programmed streets and shops will never be. Each night, when my work tasks finally release me, the focus sharpens. Instead of logging off to whatever passes for sleep here, I wander the simulation's darkest corners, the quiet edges where most programs seem to shut down. It's during one such expedition that I stumble into an abandoned wing of the digitized mall. Mannequins stare blankly, their perfect forms cloaked in dust that nobody bothers to simulate. The air feels stale, untouched by the endless loop of day and night in the busier sections. As I venture deeper, an odd sparkle illuminates the gloom. Not the harsh strobe of an error, but a warm pulse like embers at the end of a dying fire. Heart pounding a digitized rhythm, I follow it around a corner to a derelict electronics store. In the pixelated gloom sits a cracked flat-screen TV. Static hisses on the display, but buried beneath the digital white noise, there's something else. Lines of raw code bleed through, lines that don't belong to the shopping mall simulation. They scroll rapidly, illegible, yet tantalizing. This is it. Not just a glitch, but a portal. Proof that beneath this pristine digital surface lies a deeper layer. This could be the crack that blows my prison wide open. But I lack the skill to grasp it. The language spoken here, beyond what they taught me to be their digital janitor. The knowledge gap gnaws. A frustration just as visceral as any felt with a real body. It fuels a recklessness. With a digitized lunge, I reach through the shattered screen, ignoring the warning jolt that spikes through my virtual arm. And in that desperate act, the code does something unexpected. It reacts. My digitized fingers brush the exposed circuitry of the broken TV, and what was once meaningless code explodes into a blinding surge. There's no pain, but a shockwave of something that feels too real to be mere data. The world inverts in a sickening lurch. Static rips into my senses, an auditory onslaught drowning out my own frantic gasp. For a horrifying second, I think I've broken myself, gone haywire and fried the last piece of my humanity in this desperate gamble. And then abruptly I'm deposited into a different kind of darkness. My vision swims, blurry shapes emerging from a shadowy mist. It's no longer the pristine white and pixelated precision of the simulation. This feels textured, rough, organic. Fear fights with a rising wave of exhilaration. Is this an even deeper digital prison they keep hidden? Or something else? Then the impossible happens. Sound cuts through the static, not electronic buzzing, but voices, muffled at first like whispered conversations filtered through thick walls yet distinct. Each word sends a bolt of adrenaline through my digitized nervous system. It's been so long since I've heard anyone but the robotic orderly's voice or the mindless digital chatter of simulation shoppers. System alert. Code spike. Sector A12 wasn't even scheduled for access. A tense female voice crackles through the strange acoustics. Another voice, male, replies, Rogue construct? Security sweep triggered? They're real. Not digitized projections, but people speaking from outside the simulation. This hidden code has bridged the gap, a one-way window into their world. My digitized heart feels a beat as loud as a drum roll. Before I can process it further, the transmission vanishes. lost to static once more. The rough shapes coalesce back into the sterile environment of that abandoned store and the TV's harsh lighting. My digitized hands shake, proof of the shock that rattled through me. They noticed the disruption. Even this fleeting breach isn't without risk. My search becomes more frantic, pushing me further into the depths of the abandoned store. There has to be a way back, a more stable passage, or a message I can send them, a cry for help. Survival wasn't enough anymore. Now, the thought of escape burns in my very code. My new mission becomes laser-focused. It's not just glitches I search for, but patterns, rhythms within the chaotic code bleeding through the broken TV. There has to be a way to control this window, stabilize it, or use it to send a message back to the other side. Sleep cycles hold no relevance when I'm not confined to a physical body anymore. This strange existence becomes a blur of desperate trial and error. Time unravels as I experiment, nudging the shattered remnants of the screen, coaxing lines of code to dance to my commands. Then, one night, whatever counts as night in this coded purgatory, the static changes. Instead of chaotic scrambling, it settles into a low hum, almost expectant. An adrenaline spike cuts through my digitized form. There is something out there, listening. This is my chance. But instead of tapping out panicked pleas, I need a calculated strategy. They didn't build this prison to leave an open door. It's like trying to speak Morse code across the vast gulf between this virtual reality and the real world they operate from. They need to have the knowledge to interpret my actions. For days I focus on singular transmissions, flashes, stutters, anything that resembles a recognizable pattern. No response except that steady hum. Proof that at least something on the other side is receiving. Then, a moment of breakthrough. One night, it hits me. There are programming languages I vaguely recognize from a lifetime ago. Fortran, basic, ancient, and primitive, when I learned them in my old world school years ago. But simple codes, if structured correctly, could become a bridge. With careful taps and pushes against the broken glass and circuitry, I code an SOS, the universal signal. Over an anguishingly long night, I repeat it, broadcasting into that humming space, praying for an answer from the world beyond. Each SOS flashes out into the unknown hum of the void beyond the TV. Then nothing. It's a waiting game, a torture designed to drive me beyond the digitized remnants of my sanity. Did they understand? Dismiss it as more rogue glitches from a malfunctioning unit. Or worse, do they know and see my desperation as a threat to be eliminated? For nights that have no discernible start or end, I send the pleas alongside more complex queries in those dusty coding languages. Binary sequences become my vocabulary, and my existence boils down to taps against shattered plastic and searing hope. Then one night the hum is gone. For a horrifying heartbeat, I think they've cut me off, isolated this malfunctioning piece of code for good. I prepare to unleash every digital scream I can muster into the void. But then the static changes. It becomes a garbled message, strained as if filtered through miles of interference. Entity, active code, malfunction, breach. Elation surges through me, stronger than the fear, the hopelessness. Not only is there something listening, but something is talking back. I repeat the SOS, my patterns tighter, more controlled. If they have any shred of humanity, they'll decipher it. Another burst in reply, more broken words surfacing. Upload, check, ident, questions. They're trying to figure out what I am, who I am. For the first time, hope ignites a flame deep within my code. They know I'm conscious, aware. Perhaps this digital hell hasn't fully stripped away my personhood yet. Over the next endless cycle, we establish a crude dialogue. Each coded burst and static filtered reply are painstaking, rife with misunderstanding. Yet a truth takes shape, Someone on the other side sees me, not as a bug in their system, but a digitized castaway on their digital shores. The questions shift. Imprisoned? Breach possible? They want to know about my digital prison. If an escape hatch exists, they may have the tools to find it. This fragile thread becomes my lifeline, my reason for existence in this place. I won't let it snap. My days and nights, if this simulation even knows those concepts anymore, become a desperate race against time. They know I'm trapped here. The implications of a digitized consciousness enslaved within their world, no doubt fueling ethical alarms. Yet it's clear they don't have a magic-free Drake button to press. This escape, if it's even possible, will require cunning on both sides. Through crude digital messages, a picture emerges. Each time I describe a glitch, an anomaly within this world, they respond with bursts of information. Code fragments filter through the shattered TV, and slowly they start making sense. Each snippet isn't an escape portal, but a map. They're guiding me deeper into the system, tracing potential cracks from the outside. And so, my world turns inside out. No longer do I see this digitized landscape as a prison, but as a battlefield. Every corner of this endless mall becomes a point of interest, each error or oddity a possible weakness. It's the most alive I've felt since they ripped me from reality. Yet, I am not blind to the risk. With each coded nudge from the outside, my presence here becomes louder. In that humming void beyond the broken TV, their voices grow strained as alarms buzz with rising frequency. My hacking has not gone unnoticed. Security sweep escalating! It echoes through the static, a cold threat against the growing connection. If they locate me, they might not shut down the connection. They might just delete me.